going to start recording. So welcome to NACWE. We're going to record, welcome you in, pray you in, and get started. We're going to go pretty quickly through our intro slides. I just want to skim through them. If you need them, you might want to take a snapshot with them with your iPhone to come back to later. But we're going to talk about two things really quickly. We're going to talk about the new affiliate program and the membership directory. So let me pray us in. Father God, we're so grateful. We're grateful to be called your daughters, to be able to call you Father, to be in a country and a culture that allows us to build businesses in ways that please you. So we would pray that everything we talk about today, especially as we talk with Lue about the culture we create and exist in and how important it is in our businesses, everything we would do would be pleasing to you during this hour. We ask these things in Christ's name. So just a reminder, since we have new members in here. Esther's a new member, Melanie's a new member. Welcome. Just a reminder, the first Tuesday call is open to the public, but the second, third, fourth, and if we do one on the fifth Tuesday of the month, which we will, those are for members only. That's why the links are different. The first Tuesday, the number that you click on to get in is different. Those links can always be found in your first Monday of the month email. If you're not getting emails from us as a new member, you need to let us know. And they are also in the cover of our Facebook NACWE page and pinned at the top of the feed of the NACWE members Facebook group as well. We want you to be able to find us. Our mission is to train, empower, and inspire Christian women as we build our businesses, as we connect, create, and collaborate. So when we finish the call, lots of times people just want to talk and do a Q&A with the presenter. That's fine. But if we have time, we'll also do some networking. We'll ask you who you are, so be prepared to enter into the chat room, your name, your location, your URL, or social media link, or one of each, and sort of do a 30-second commercial for yourself. We'll stop the recording, and that won't be part of the recording. It'll be time for us. Then we'll just chat and talk about what we need. We'll do some group coaching. It's free, sort of. We have lots of upcoming events, and we've changed some of them around. We'll talk about those on Facebook later. But I want you to hear, I'm going to skip through a bunch of stuff. I want you to hear about, so we have a new affiliate program. And what it means is if you sign up at this link, affiliate sign up, you can receive $50 commission on each new member that you bring to NACWE. So what you'll do is we'll provide on that page, it's not there yet, but we'll get it on there. We'll provide a logo for you to put on your website or on your Facebook page. And you will use your special affiliate link. The person who clicks on that link to come and visit NACWE, there's a cookie that sort of remembers who they are for about 6 months. So even 3 months later, if one of your friends came in using your link, well, maybe they even forgot to use your link, but they come in, it's my understanding, they come in again, it recognizes them, and it tells us that you signed up a member, and you get a $50 check. So it's worthwhile, and it helps us to meet new people and bring members in from all walks of life. You'll get paid through PayPal once a month. So if you brought 3 people in that month, at the end of the month, you'd get $150. And then the membership directory's been revamped. So when you go to the NACWE website, if those of you who are new, if you haven't gotten your password yet, you won't be able to do it without a password, but you can ask us for your password and we'll make sure you get it. You can go to a membership directory, see everyone who's not everyone who's a member of NACWE, but everyone who has signed up for the membership directory. We're trying to get everybody to sign up eventually, and where they are and what they do and how to find them. And then you can sign up also. Submit. There's a little submit new entry button on the left top side. Under the map, there's an interactive map, which is really neat. So you can see where all the NACWE members are. Thank you to Callie, who has put this together, and to Kathy, who helped us put together the affiliate program. So our members can sign up, but the entire public can see. So it kind of promotes you and gets your name out there. You need to have at the ready a good current headshot and your URL and social media links and things like that. So today we're going to talk to Lue. Lue spoke to the whole NACWE group in November of last year about company culture. And then she was one of our main presenters at the conference this year in the end of April. And every time she talks, we get great rave reviews and great interest in creating culture, building culture in your, not just in your business, but since we're entrepreneurs, we talk about that more often than anything, but in every venue of your life. When she spoke in November, the response was greater than any other month of the year. So we're going to keep a culture focus month every year just to keep her in the forefront of everything that we're doing. So I'm going to turn this over to her by discontinuing my share. There you go. And so Lue, you should be able to, hi Allie, hi Anita. Lue, you should be able to come in. And I'll help you watch the chat room if I can.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm going to share my screen, and it may make everything really big on yours, and then you won't be able to chat and ask questions. So if you hit your escape key or ESC key, that'll shrink it back down and you can chat and all that. So just FYI, learning as from my own mistake. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm going to switch over to my screen and we'll kick it off. Let's see. So, you know, culture is like my thing, and we're talking about the power of words, and really, a lot of businesses don't put enough thought into their culture words and stories that they tell. They don't recognize, you know, they're so focused on, you know, selling a product or delivering a service or talking about, you know, how great their brand is, but they forget that there's culture words and stories that are told in this as well. And even if you are not intentionally telling your culture story, you are revealing it a little bit. But how do we intentionally reveal it? So I see a box came up. Hold on, let me fix that. Let me just, sorry. There we go. Okay. I started my new company. I'm a totally new entrepreneur. I worked in corporate America for 17 years. Before that, I did oddball jobs. I was a nanny. I was a private chef. I worked in restaurants. So I've worked in lots of different places, but I would say that I was blessed with every place I've ever worked to really be in a place where a great culture was flourishing. And then when it wasn't flourishing, it really hit me personally, because I was like, wow, this matters. This is what's broken. It took me a long time to figure out that's what it was. So I've become sort of a culture expert in a lot of ways, just from watching and trying to help teams cultivate great culture. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So the words you say, so, you know, we were talking about the power of words, and we say words all day long, right? But when we talk about our businesses, or we talk about our services, or who we are as leaders, you know, what do the words really say? And so there's always this underlying, you know, current that you may not even be aware of, but the words we say really give insight to who you are and what your values are, and that's given in words, but also in behaviors. They reveal what your company's about, how you do business, you know, how you partner with people, and sometimes, you know, I put, or do they? Are we so like scripted into service, sell this, that we don't even leave room for this sort of revelation to be seen? And so it's interesting. So this last 3 months that I've been getting my feet wet as an entrepreneur, I watch, I read a lot, I go online a lot, I look through different Facebook businesses and see what are they saying about, you know, themselves, and what glimpse can I get from this person. A lot of times it's just one person and it's all their personality, and you can't really see, like, but how do they do business, and how do they uh, you know, work together, and what are their values, because that's important to us as humans. That is extremely important to us, because that's when you find affinity with people. That's when you find connections with people. You won't find a connection with a person just based on a service or a product. You will buy a business, you will buy a product, or you will work with someone because you feel an actual connection with them, and that's that culture piece. So how do you promote your business but also do it authentically? And so a lot of time, that's just my 3 months in rookie worldview, and I'm sure as 6 months from now I may say something else, and a year, but really it's interesting to me because I've worked with big brands who do all this work on branding and finding that story. And my husband kissed me goodbye. Sorry, we've got a man in NACWE. So anyway, so, you know, how do you, with the words you say, you know, not only effectively promote your business, your services, and how you build your business, but also unveil some of that authenticity that makes you unique, and that reveals some of that culture piece. And so how do you get authentic with people, you know, in a word? How do you do that? So one of the things that I was researching, I don't know what book it was in, but it was one of the books. I've got a lot of books. But about branding, was this 6-word story challenge. If you had to pick 6 words about your company, what would those be? And some people, you can go find this, and it's a good. A lot of people make just kind of funny, like haiku kind of funny things about it, but other people use that strategy to help them really refine a story about their own brand. So I thought we would kick off with a really quick, I'll give you like 2 minutes, a 6-word story challenge. If you had to say 6 words about your company, it can be 6 individual words that don't make a sentence, or it can be 6 words that make a sentence. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. And then as you get them, you can write them in the chat box. That's good, Melanie. At blank pediatrician, parents call the shots. I'm so comfortable here. Mm. Feel the presence of the Lord. Help, inspire, encourage, administrate, grow, build. Mm. But I have new hope for change. Give us like 30 more seconds. I'm not keeping time, you can tell. Anyone else? All right, go ahead and keep writing yours in. But so we got a couple. So at, what does, just think about this and you don't have to answer. At blank pediatrician, so we'll say at Joe's pediatrician office. So we'll say at Dr. Joe's, parents call the shots. Culturally, what does that tell you? It's customer focused. It's, you know, they care about their parents, but also it could have a negative connotation, right? That the doctor is like, run over by parents that are just like, giving them all these demands. So that's the power, like a logo or a jingle or any kind of cultural phrase like that. You have to always think, what does this reveal about us? And is it revealing all the positive, or is it too vague? I think on Allie wrote, help, inspire, encourage, administrate, grow, and build. So all of those I think are really strong verbs. So their action, their doing, their positive. I can't think of anything that could have a negative connotation. Those are good. Let's see, Marcia wrote, life, loving it while living it. So that just culturally, if you were to say that about your organization, wow, this organization wants to help me live my best life right now. I don't have to wait 6 months when I finish the program, like today, right now. And that's very encouraging. So culturally, that's a great 6-word phrase. I won't go through all of them, but that's an example of, and every now and then I challenge you to do that, every now and then. That could just be your message on Facebook, or a card that you send to a client, that just has those words on it when you find the right words. But I think there's, you just always have to go look at it from every direction and go, is this what I want to convey to my to my customers? So here's a couple that one or two that I found. Nearly everything you need to know. So brand awareness. So, but it's not exactly everything, right? So when you see that, but it piques your interest. You're like, what is this? That's a 6-word challenge. Nearly everything you need to know, but not everything, right? Not everything. I love this one. Karen knows me, I'm a traveler, and I wander a lot. So there's 2 phrases. There's not all who wonder are lost. And then there's another phrase, not all who wander are lost. So this is a great example of a 6-word challenge that someone has put together. And they played with that. But that makes you, what does that say culturally about, and if it was me, if I said not all who wander are lost, or someone else said not all who wonder are lost, it makes you go, this person likes to think, this person likes to kind of get out there and try new things, intentionally go into the unknown. So a little bit of a trailblazer, a little bit of someone with a little guts, but maybe not someone who's like super, 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 what's the word? Competitive. Like, I've got to go win the race. Wandering and wondering take time, right? So it gives you, these are words, these are culture words that convey something about you. And it's, once you start to see this, you're like, oh my gosh, every word has a meaning. I got to rethink everything. So the stories that you tell, what are the stories? So we talked about words, but the stories that you tell, what are they? A lot of times in our businesses, we'll tell a business case, we'll tell a success story, right? But do you tell your story? Are we good at telling our own personal stories, our own testimonies? I have to move this so I can see what it says underneath this. The risks that you take. What are those risks that you've taken for your business or for others or for an idea or for a dream? Those are things that really, when you talk about connecting people to you, that's what draws them in. They're like, tell me more, because it's a story. It's you're about to unveil, you're about to reveal, and you're about to get really authentic if you tell this right. And so how as leaders and business leaders do we get really good at telling a compelling story about our own lives, about lives who've been transformed with us, or that we've witnessed? Just sometimes witnessing a great story makes you go back, reflect on it, and go, how do I apply what I learned here to my business, or to you, Mr. Person, that's having a situation that I feel like this applies to you. You know, that's the beauty of stories. And I think a lot of times we get focused into task, and really we need to stop and say, where's the story? Because that's what transforms people. Right. So the purpose of your words, when you tell these stories, it like I said earlier, this is to convey who you are, what matters to you, and what your values are. So when you tell a story, you're there to create a connection to your tribe. Like I said, the stories are, as you advertise, as you engage with people in presentations, on Facebook, in your thought of the day. Those are out there to find your tribe. I love that Diane always said, I was trying to find my people, and I look at that and go, you were trying to find your tribe of business leaders who were out there, trying to forge this future. She was trying to find her tribe. And so every time she posts a message, every time Karen posts a message, it's connecting to your tribe, part of this. And as a new business leader, I look at going, I'm still like mute in a lot of ways, because I'm like, who is my tribe? Where do I find them? But you just have to know they're there waiting, and the right person will connect with you. And that's how every business, that's how every group has grown, is one person said, who is this? What is that? And they look over and they want to go join up with this. The purpose of your words not only are to create a connection, but they're also to convey meaning. Humans need meaning. Humans don't do well when all they're told is do, and be. When there's meaning attached to it, when your words and your stories have something deeper or more profound, the metaphors that make them think, what does this mean? And that your words and that your organization, that your business has meaning, and that there's more to it than just, hey, I've got this great product I want to sell, or hey, there's this great service I want to sell. No, this is about, come along with me and we're going to change the world, or we're going to fix an industry, or we're going to transform lives. That's meaningful. That's where the meaning comes in. And then your words have to add value to your tribe. And that's something that I've been studying probably the last 6 months, is how do you always add value and not just make more noise, right? Because there's a lot of noise out there, and the people that add value are the ones who can cut through the noise. So when you convey meaning in your words, and you convey value in your words and your stories, people walk away transformed, and then they'll tell your story. They'll talk about you. They'll say, I heard this. They'll share it. They'll take a photograph of it. They'll come back to it. That's what great words and great stories do. So the question is, are people telling your stories? Are they retellable? Are you creating raving fans with your stories? Every time you tell something or post a video or even a live video or a thought or an idea that relates to your business, but it also, again, adds value and creates meaning, you create raving fans. I don't know if you've ever read the book from Ken Blanchard. It's really old, but it talks about, your raving fans are the ones who not only have great experiences doing business with you, but then they go out and they advertise for you. And they go, you have to go do this. You have to go join NACWE. You have to come be a part of this group. Those are raving fans. And that's what every business wants, is to have raving fans. And when people are telling your stories, that means that you have met their expectations and then you surpass their expectations. And so think about that, my words and my stories, in a presentation or at a workshop or at my one-to-one meeting with someone, do I meet their expectations and then do I surpass them? And I think that's a challenge you have to set for yourself. And then, I think back to adding value, if you gave them a story to tell, then you really impacted them, because people don't forget stories. People forget jokes, but people don't forget stories. People will forget your name. But they won't, that story stays with them, and it comes back years later. They'll see triggers that remind them of it. And then at the end of that, you've become unforgettable. So when you've become unforgettable, I consider that a big success, in a positive way. If you surpass people's expectations as you've done business with them, as you've told stories, as you've, given them a word that changed their life, it's powerful. So I wanted to show you a few examples of people that I've met over the years who, or seen over the years, and they are, to me, heroes, because they started out with one person, right? One person, little entrepreneur person with an idea, and they used these words, and they found their culture words early on, and it was very, I think, very defiant in a lot of ways, of like, this is who we are, this is who I'm going to be, and so the first one is a group called BTC, Be the Change Revolution. They are activist hearts, but they go in and help organizations with social media and branding and crazy ideas. They helped Applebee's do a campaign in Times Square where they did a live feed of people in restaurants all over the country, but they're in Times Square. But they started out, I saw her speak, Amanda speak 6 years ago, and she was teaching one story about ripple effects. We're in this room, and she said, it just takes one person to touch the water and create a ripple, and it keeps going and going. How many layers does it go? And I will never forget that story. And so to watch her organization as it's grown, from her and Brandon, and Brandon, I said, Brandon, how'd you get your job? He's like, I lied. I said, sure, I can do it. Sure, I can do it. And it was just like, I'll learn how to do it as we go. And that's what all the brands that you see that are making it, that's what they all did. They're like, I don't know, but let's try, But I loved their values, which were, their secret formula, which is make love. We believe you want to make change, you make love. And our team has a special type of magic that creates chemistry with partners and communities. Make impact. Which is, the bold belief that you can do it, that it's enough, and that but you have to be convicted, you have to be passionate, you have to hustle, you have to be disciplined, and you have to commit to doing whatever it takes to make the goal a reality. And that's how we're wired. And then the JFDI, just focus, do it. They've got a bracelet and a hashtag and all that. And there are so many days, I don't even work for this company, and there are days when I'm like, JFDI, just focus, do it. And so I'm a raving fan of theirs because I tell their story over and over again. But if you look at, what does this say culturally about them? What are the culture words they chose? Love, impact, you know, make it happen, do it. All these words tell them what is the energy like to work in that company. That's going to be a fun company to work for, but it's going to be hard work, but it's going to be love-filled, passionate work to change the world. And everyone wants to do that. So that's one example. This one is, I don't know if you've heard Match.com. It's an online dating site. I met my husband there 15 years ago. So, but my friend works there. He's a programmer. And I follow them. This is their sort of internal culture website that they have on Facebook. And it just tells the story of what it's like to work at Match. And so this one is, they did basically a swab, a sip and swab, to try to find donor matches to help delete blood cancer. And so they're always using these words, making matches. And they bring dogs in, they'll do, SPCA will bring dogs, and they do an adoption thing where they try to adopt dogs. But their whole thing is making matches. And those phrases, making matches, not only is it their business idea, to create, love matches so people can find their partners in life, but also, there's other ways we can match people up, and there's other ways we can change the world. So culturally, it looks like, wow, a really fun place to work. What does this reveal? What do these words reveal? If you just took the pictures out, they add a lot, I know, but if you just follow their thing on Facebook, you'll see lots of just fun activities in your life and phrases, and people will go on and write on this chalkboard, and they'll take pictures of what their team members say. So it just looks like a really open-minded place to work, where ideas flourish, where kind of no constraints, but always with this goal of making matches. This one is a lady named Tina Roth Eisenberg. She's a Swiss designer that lives in New York. She did a talk that I watched, and I loved her. She started out with just her one little design studio in Brooklyn, grew it, then created this idea of, what if once a month we had this creative mornings, we had these chats, and so they would go to like a park or a museum and do these creative morning talks. And then she started another company where her little kid liked the stickers, and so she wanted to make cool stickers, not the ugly stickers that little kids wear that roll off, but how do we make really cool stickers? And so they created this other brand. And so she just creates new brands and new ideas and goes after it. And when she wrote this, she said this, I live for the feeling that I've dared, that I've tried something new, and that I've learned something. What does that say culturally about her? It says, keep getting up, keep going, keep trying, there's more. But also just a peace and a joy. Culturally, that's what it would be like to work with her, I think. It's not a hard-driven, design-driven, marketing-driven, rat race. It's something else. It's higher. It's a higher purpose. And when you think culturally, wow, I'd want to work with this person. I'd want to know this person. And then one of the Creative Morning speakers wrote this quote over here. Color is power. It's physiologically impossible to be in a bad mood when you're wearing bright red pants. And I thought that was a funny phrase to go, what does that embody? Like, finding happiness, be bold, be bright, live out loud, big colors. That's what it would be like to work with Miss Jessie Arrington, whoever she started a company called The Workshop in the Rainbow. So, but these are all reveal and convey something about what it's like to work with these people, what they value, what's important to them. And then I'm going to bring you one that I'll finish up my examples with one that's here locally in Dallas. I used to work, like I said, in the restaurant industry, and one of my heroes, restaurant industry or HR industry heroes, is a guy named Tony Bridwell, and he writes these great books like fables. He's got his master's in divinity, but went into the public circle to work, and runs an organization for leadership development, partners in leadership. But his daughter it reminds me of Shelley Hitz. She started doodling and drawing, and now she draws these beautiful florals, and she's created a book, and she teaches watercolors and all that. So they started this webcast called Breakfast with This, a podcast about life, love, and sweet tea. If you just look at that picture alone, what does that convey culturally about these people? You don't know that she draws, you don't know that he's a leader, but there's something about this picture and these words that you're like, this is about, intimacy and enjoying simple things. It is about life and love. But sweet tea, the word sweet tea alone just conveys something else, a whimsy, something old, something, that you sit on the front porch and drink when you're relaxing. And when you start to watch her podcast and you see her work, you're like, she's just drawing and enjoying, just like drinking a cup of sweet tea, on the porch on a hot summer day. So while you may think, what does this have to do culturally? It does convey, these do reveal their little hints, their little glimpses. And over here you can see much more experience, the bio. But even that tells you want to know more, tell me more. There's a story in here, and you feel there's a story in here that you want to go learn more about. And then this was the last, she just finished this mural. It's in Dallas, and it's, just black brush, it's on the side of a building in Dallas on Knox Henderson. And now people go from all over Dallas to go take their picture in front of this mural. What are those words? This must be the place. What do those convey? It's on the side of a furniture building. They may not know who Allie K Design is, but it doesn't matter. If it was in the middle of the desert, you're like, I want to go be there. I want to be close to this. And that's the power of words. You want to go stand in front of this. You want to go take a picture in front of this. You want to touch this with your hand. That's the power of words. That, you don't want to just drive by it, but you want to zoom, you want to turn around, go back, get out of the car, and take a picture in front of it. And that's the power of a great culture, of an identity, of Allie knows who she is. She knows, this is what she's meant to do. And that's, I think, really powerful, and it's very compelling. So culture stories. So I thought I would tell you one story that I told, that I witnessed, and then wound up telling the story, and it turned into something bigger. This is an example of, finding the right words, but also looking around at activities you do and finding meaning in those activities. Zoom out, find the bigger meaning in those activities, and then be able to convey that to your customers or to your tribe, to your people that follow you online, to people who read your books, etc. So it was the late 90s. I didn't even work for this brand at the time. And these gentlemen were at a big banquet dinner, and there was like 1,500 people in the room. And These guys were from International, and in Sweden, there is a tradition at dinner to lift the tables up over your head. And these guys were sitting at the table, and the Swedish guy was like, "Come on, guys, let's lift the table up. Let's lift the table." And there was a guy from Brazil, from Philippines, from Denmark, a couple of Americans, and Americans are like, "No, no, no, don't lift the tables. What are you doing? It's against the rules, you know?" And the guys are like, "Come on, come on." And so they lift the table a little bit, and then they put it down. They lift it a little bit more, and then they put it down. And they stand up, and they swoosh up, and that thing goes way up over their heads. And they put it back down. And of course, security comes, but all these other people in the room were like, "What are they doing? What is that?" It's like, they're crazy. And some people roll their eyes, but at the same time, everyone is like, "What is that? Why are they doing that?" And then, of course, a few more tables of international people start lifting it. And the next thing you know, the entire room has tables in the air, and the general manager of the hotel is coming to kick us all out of the hotel. And the CEO at the time said, "No, no, 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 we'll behave, it's okay." But what happened was, the next year, the internationals did it again. They lifted it again. And no one really even said anything about it. No one really said, you know, "Why'd you do it?" or "What does that mean?" They were just like, it's a tradition. It's a tradition in Sweden. We do it. So it really never, it was more fun. It was more sort of, could we do this kind of thing. So the next year, and it sort of built and built and built. And then every year, the Americans would wait for the internationals to start lifting their tables and say, "Well, here they go again, you know, they're going to do it." It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So the guy who started that, his name was Sten, he was the ringleader, and he retired a couple of years ago. And I have been a part of those where you lift the table. And the first time you see it, you're like, "This is impossible. This is crazy," because you've got this huge round banquet table full of plates and glasses and silverware and flowers and candles and wine bottles and purses and phones, right? Everything you see, you know, you've been to a dinner where you sit on this table and you know, you've got all this stuff, and someone lifts it, you know, this much. You're like, "Okay, no problem. You can all sort of lift it." Then you lift it this much. But then when you lift that overhead, it's crazy. It's insane. But what I noticed is it never fell. It never, ever fell. So the magic in this act was, you've got a group of people who've sat together, who have dined together, who have been woven together with conversations and stories and lives over this 2-hour dinner. And at some point, someone's like, "It's time. It's time to stand up and do this act." And there's people there that are like, "It's not possible." But everyone else is like, "No, it is possible." And what you feel is this table rising and swelling like a ship on water, but it doesn't fall, because you start compensating for some who are weaker and some who are stronger, and some who need to just believe in the unbelievable and feel it in their hands. This is the one story. This is one photograph of this. You can see these people, they're laughing. You know, the people looking on are like, "Oh my gosh." You know, this one poor girl, she's too short to even reach it, you know, but she's waiting for it to just come down a little bit more. But nothing slides off. Nothing falls off. It's like the essence of teamwork. And that's what teamwork is all about, right? Compensating and readjusting and re-equipping, but also like people that can't reach, showing them you can keep reaching. You will reach it. And this is a story. This photo here is, you know, when it gets crazy, people get on the middle of the table with the tables in the air. And so you've got a table in the air full of dishes, full of stuff, and one crazy person gets up and gets in the middle and stands up with their hands in the air, and people are lowering and raising this table. Why is this important? Why is this story important? And I told this, and we had a room full of, you know, 400, 500 people with people in the middle, you know, with tables going up and down. And the people that worked in the hotel were just like, this is amazing. What is this? And I said, this is the physics of teamwork. This is when people have felt teamwork in their hand. This is what it feels like to do something crazy right there and try. And when people have felt that and been a part of this, it changes them. So this story, I love this story. It's absolutely probably my favorite story about teamwork and about a brand and about people coming together to do something that is impossible. Everything that story says is you're a part of this. You're a part of this group. You're a part of this tribe. Every heart and hand counts in this story. We can do the impossible because you just held possible in your hands. You felt it. You felt when it went up how it wasn't heavy. The table wasn't heavy, and nothing slid off, and nothing broke, and no one got hurt because we all did it together. And with that energy and power, people felt like we can do anything. We can change the world. We can grow our business by 20%, you know, but we have to stay together on a journey. So this story, and you may be like, okay, yeah, I'm a one-man show. You know, I've got my little desk in my corner here, but every brand that's out there started with one person like you know, with one person. All those other brands that I just showed you, one person, one idea, sitting at a desk in the living room saying, why not? And what would it take? But what they did was they found their culture stories, and they found their culture words, and they found their culture meaning, and then they just told it over and over, and they found their tribe. When they found their tribe, you know, it was unstoppable. So your words and your stories, you know, I challenge you to find your 6 words for your business, you know, and you may have multiple 6-word, you know, boosts, and you may need them at different times. For your business, find who is your tribe, you know, and you may not know that right now. I don't know that right now. I'm still like, you know, trying to figure it out, but I know they're out there, and there are people that are like, yes, when I start talking about my ideas, my business, yes, they get it. And that, you know, stick with those people that get it. For your business, how will you, with your words and stories, how will you create connections? How can you convey meaning to your tribe? How can you add value to your tribe? And then find a couple of stories that are retellable and tell them over and over again. You know, what is it someone you impacted, something you did that changed things, but you've got to find a couple of retellable stories that people will talk about for 20 years because it changed them. And if you have any questions, I think you guys were all connected here on NACWE, but reach out to me, contact me. You know, if you're even struggling with, okay, what would my story be? I'm good at kicking a ball around. You know, I helped Kim Smith with her Paris story to really put that together for a great story that she's going to be able to take that little tiny story and create programs, create presentations. She's already presented it twice since the NACWE conference, you know, to other people, because that's, you know, it's not just your product and your service, it's the story behind it. So that's all I got. I'll open it. I'm gonna come back to the main screen. Oh, how do I unshare? Stop sharing. And now I'll go back. And now Karen can. We didn't have any questions, I don't think.
We didn't. We had a lot of amazing comments. So let's see. Melanie said her husband does, he creates programs so that you can track your growth and investments and things like that in a very different way than most of us do it. And it's half owned by a Japanese company and half owned by an American company. And she said, my husband's company recently decided to define their company's core values. Hi, Ada, our new entrepreneur. However, rather than 3 to 6 core values, they came up with 27. I'm hoping they're going to pare those down. She said, this is obviously not doable. The entire company's response has been very negative. Obviously, they're overwhelmed. But I wondered, after she...
So they're not planning to pare them down. They're going to spend 1 week every year focusing on a core value. So it'll take them a little more than 2 years to get through all of them, which is part of why people are not interested.
Yeah, they're not. It's overwhelming. But I wondered if they were going to pare them down and they asked the Japanese, crew and the USA crew, would they be different? Would their core values be different? Wouldn't it be amazing to see? Because, their stories are different. I mean, the culture is different. The lifestyle is different. The way that they work is different. When Melanie and Derek were living in Japan, Derek constantly said it was just different. They took breaks all the time. In America, we're like, we must work 8 hours a day. And, I'm going to set my timer for my 30-minute lunch break, And there they would say, let's go out to lunch. And they'd be gone for 2 hours. And just the way that they got things processed and produced was different. It would be interesting to see the culture from both sides of that company. And then how would they bring them together? You've probably experienced that because for the brand you worked with, you were in the United States and you were in different countries, a bazillion different countries.
Well, interestingly enough, there's an example that my friend, who's a CMO, he said that he wanted me to follow because I was trying to, who's my target? I was asking, who's my target customer? I don't know, and he said, you've got two, he said, you've got two companies that are, two groups of clients. You've got a company that is small, that's about to grow, like Uber or Lyft, and a big company is going to take them, right? They're going to buy them, and they're going to be morphed into this other company. And what made the little company valuable wasn't so much the product and the service, but the culture behind it. So he used an example of Virgin America. So Virgin has amazing, great culture, right? But it's what's made it valuable is the culture. It's not the airplanes and the the procedures. That's a function of why they exist, right? Those are just, but what makes them valuable is their culture. But Alaska Airlines bought them, and so Alaska Airlines is going to take this Virgin America, and what's going to happen? They're going to squish it down into this Alaska Airlines culture and diminish the thing that made them. So that's why it's so important. So he said, for me, it's, you've got two clients. You go to the little guy, how do you, in that transition, make sure they keep the thing that was valuable? And to the big guy, you go, hey guys, you're going to lose the thing that made it valuable. You're going to lose money on it if you don't. So when you talk about something like that, where you've got cross-cultural connections and how do you preserve what's right, I think you have to have a really honest dialogue. I always use tribes, if you were morphing two tribes together and they decided, let's band together because we can be more powerful, they would have a lot of conversations about what to keep and what not to keep, and what makes them the best and what takes away from that. But when I hear 28 values, I'm like, oh Lord, give me their phone number, I'll call. No, it's just, those are aspirational. And I bet you can chisel all those 28 down into 3 to 5. And they're all different sides of 3 to 5. But then they can dive into those deeper, but yeah.
So can you see the chat room questions are starting to come in?
Okay.
But while you're looking at the question from Melanie, as we were doing this whole presentation, I thought I wear so many different hats. I'm constantly talking about it, and that's my verbiage. I wear several different hats at the same time, or different shoes. I walk in different shoes at the same time. So, you know, as you were going through all this, there's a part of me that thought I need to look at every hat that I wear separately and, you know, choose 6 words. It would be interesting for me to see if they all converge. You know, if there's a huge, I would hope that there would be because of who I am. But I also thought when you go to RameyCounseling.com, this is one of the best things that ever happened to me, I think. When you go to RameyCounseling.com, on the home page, there's a video from a customer. And, you know, most customers don't want, or clients don't really want to comment on your web page. They definitely don't want to comment on your social media pages because it indicates not just that they're a friend of yours, but that they might have been a client of yours. And that's pretty private information, so I can understand that. But it's like crickets when you're on social media on Ramey Counseling Associates.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying anything. If you post a picture of your little white dog, then, you know, 100 people are piping in. But if it's about counseling, no. But Diane and I were here at the office and we were making videos. Back in the day when she was coaching me, and I was so resistant to being on video in any form or fashion, you know, too proud, too vain. And while we were here making videos and doing some coaching together, Daniel walked in. I had worked with his whole family at various stages over about a 5-year period of time. And has lots of really interesting stories and very invested in counseling and growth and that sort of thing. And he walked in to borrow the office. He just wanted to use the office to study. He's a personal fitness trainer, and he does fitness training for special needs families. So our Jeff works with him. And he came in and said, "What are y'all doing?" And she said, "We're making videos." And what kind of videos? And she just was talking. He said, I'll make a video right now for this place because it changed my life." He literally sat down, relaxed back in the chair. She turned the recording on, and he made the most beautiful video that basically just said, "I love this place, and I love what Karen has done in my life and my family's life." He said on the video in front of God and everyone, you know what a bold and gutsy thing to do. He said, "I came in here addicted to everything, to sex, to porn, to over-the-counter meds, to drugs, to alcohol, to everything, and walked out, you know, clean, and have been clean ever since, and now have a successful entrepreneurship as a personal fitness trainer and that sort of thing." That was a gutsy thing to do, to put yourself out there like that and to be honest, but it sets the tone of the culture for my entire counseling practice because it's on the front page. It's short, it's sweet, it's truthful. You said be authentic. It's authentic. So, I mean, to me, he just defined my culture for me.
And sometimes it does take, I mean, just like that story, you know, that started before I ever worked there with the tables. And it was really when the guy was leaving, I was like, how do you say thank you to this guy? So it all started with an email I sent to him and said, you know, basically, you know, what you taught us with that crazy act was what it feels like when we're bound together and we're doing something on mission together, or even as stupid as to way that, but I mean, it taught us like everything you're supposed to feel. And I use that model for everything. I mean, for everything after because I needed to articulate what it meant, you know, because before it was just fun and like, oh, how cool, you know, but it was really when you kind of dug into this and like made the metaphor out of it that you were like, wow, this is powerful. And it wound up becoming a model. So that's why I think people, you know, right now you're probably like, I don't have one of those. I mean, I don't have a, you know, and you don't have to have don't do anything crazy, people. But, but you know, there's going to be something that you're like, this always comes back, and it's something I love. And then sit down and zoom out, take out a notepad. So why does this keep coming back to me? And try to find the underlying powerful message in it. What is the metaphor in this? You know, what is the deeper meaning? And you find a couple of those, you've got your story, you know, you've got your you've got your story. I think you could probably take Daniel's story as a weightlifter who went from this weak person that was on all these things to now he is, you know, lifting people up, you know, and instead of taking, you know. So, I mean, you could just, you know, the more you dig into this, the more you go. And these are the stories that become elemental to what you do, and that people will repeat, you know, and want to experience. Okay, so hold on. Melanie said, what if your business is something very private like counseling or healthcare? How do you share stories? Yeah. Yeah, you get new names, maybe different places. You don't even have to be specific, but it's more about not the specificity of what the person had or was wrong, but the transformation of them, you know? How did they transform? Because that's what story is, right? You were here and then you ended up here. How did you, it wasn't just we got shots and I took my antibiotics and I, you know, but it was how did this person transform? That's story.
And I've asked counseling clients to write me an endorsement, and you know, some of them have used their name, some of them have just said 25-year-old male, you know, some of them have said couple. So I really have gotten some really great endorsements and stories from people that, you know, didn't have to use their name or reveal enough private information that it was a breach of confidentiality and that sort of thing. Now, Melanie also asked up at the top, is it okay to be ambivalent about business growth?
I don't know what you mean by that. Unmute. Yeah, unmute her.
You want to come in on that, Melanie?
So, well, I was thinking, you know, what if you're thinking to yourself that you might not have the time to have more than X number of clients or something like that. I mean, with counseling, for example, it might be easier to kind of to work that out because your counselee is not a counselee for life. You know, they come in for usually a set number of sessions. But in healthcare, you know, a lot of times it is, you know, you're a patient for life, and especially if you're into pediatrics, you're going to be seeing this patient pretty frequently. So I guess I was thinking, you know.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll have to, when we were at the conference, I told that story about the 10% or the 20%. How do you build your business? I think that's really, her question's kind of related to that of, you know, you've got some that last for life, but when was the last time your doctor really like sent you a note and said, hey, come back in and see me? Like only at your 6-month checkup, right? They don't really want to see you. But if you wanted to grow your business, your doctor would say, hey, we have this new da-da-da, right? They don't ever do that kind of thing. Maybe there's a law against it, I don't know. But I think when you talk about, you know, growth, I think it's, you know, what are you trying to achieve? So when you talk about growth, I think you just have to be super specific on what are you trying to grow and then do it on a one-off basis. Well, I know we're over time now, but at the conference, I taught a session about growing your business by 10%. And I put a challenge out there to help people break it down. What would 10% be? If you said your business was, we'll just say your business is $100,000 and you wanted to grow it by 10% or 20%. And I said, Melanie, this year you've got to earn an additional $20,000. You'll be like, no way. Like, no. But if I said, okay, let's break it down by month. Now let's break it down by week. Let's break it down by day. You could break down, oh, that's only, you know, one additional client a month, you know? So that's kind of how when you talk about growth, I don't know if that's what you're asking, but.
And I just think there are times when your business needs to grow and times when it doesn't. I mean, I do realize there are schools of thought out there that you must always be growing. But an example is the only way I'm going to finish this dissertation is if a few things take a back seat to a degree. So, for example, maybe I wanted in my dream world, I had 15 counseling clients a week, but during dissertation world, I need to only have about 5 to really get focused. It doesn't mean that I'm ambivalent. It just means I'm on a different track. I've had to shift gears, for some reason. To me, thinking of Melanie in the future being a nurse practitioner that can serve the whole family, not just the babies, but the mommies, the babies, everybody, is an invaluable resource. And if she decided she only wanted 10 patients on her roster for a while she's raising her own children, God bless those 10 patients. They're going to get really good care. She's going to be fulfilled. So, I mean, I just think it's relative, or, it kind of depends on the person. It doesn't mean you're ambivalent per se. We talked in this forum also with several people about, in private coaching, about making money. And someone said, is it okay to be kind of ambivalent about making money? And I thought, I've been ambivalent about making money my entire life because, I have my entire second married life, because my husband makes enough money that, praise the Lord, I don't have a lot of pressure on me to bring in a certain amount of money. Whereas in my first marriage, my husband was sick for lots of years and work was kind of scanty, and it was my responsibility to make sure that I was employed full time with insurance and things like that for a while. So it doesn't mean I was ambivalent. It just means I'm in a different place. I think you have to give yourself permission to be in a different place. We're going to shut down, and there's some other questions, and I'm going to actually, when we post the replay, I'm going to actually put some of those questions underneath in the comment section, so Lou, you can come in and answer them, because I think there's several of them that are very, very good. But man, I could listen to you talk all day long. So let me
I love it.
Before we're here for 2 hours and people are complaining. God bless. Thank you, Lord. We're so grateful for this time, for the interaction. We'd rather have a few that really interacted well and received a lot than to have dozens and dozens that weren't really present. And so I thank you for this. I thank you for Lou and the gifts that she brings and the stories that she tells and the experiences that she's had. And I want to be a better storyteller. I want stories to change people's lives, or to give them hope and to draw them to you, Christ, the Redeemer. So I just pray for a fuller, richer understanding of culture and the way that we tell stories and the way that we communicate to potential clients, and really not just in the business realm as well. So we pray for the successful uploading of this information and for growth for everyone. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. God bless.
Bye, everyone.